Mario once again with MI Microflight, and in this video I'm going to be talking about this i3 Mega that I've had for many years. Great machines. I decided not to part with these machines, so I decided to do some of these upgrades that I'm going to be showing in this video, just because I like this machine so much, and they've done a lot of work for me, very consistent work. I did have to tweak the machines, to a little more to my standards, and but nothing major here. So in this video I'm just going to be talking about the upgrades that I've done and for the reasons that I've done them for. Beginning with the front panel here, I decided to remove the cover, that as many people have done, in past years, and I decided to go with this frame right here. I don't know if I like this frame the way it is right now. I may decide to change that in a later time, but from a functional standpoint and more of a visual indicator, I decided to add a voltmeter here. That's what you see here, the voltmeter, and 3 LEDs to give me an indication of all the fans that are on the machine that are working. So we have the main board fan right here. This is the hot end fan, and this is the part cooling fan. So all three are working because I'm running this machine dry, just for the sake of having these items on as I'm talking in this video here. The other upgrade that I've done to this machine here is that cover there, more aesthetical. In the past I have done my own head assemblies, designs, but I decided to go back to the original one because this is a steel part right here, this metal. You can't beat metal with plastic, even injection molded parts. It's a steel part, so I decided just to keep that. There's nothing wrong with that. The fans inside, this is the original fan that cools the hot end, and this is the blower fan on this side. What I've done, instead of going with my own 3D printed head as I did in the past, and coming back full circle back to the original one for the reasons I just explained, is develop this shroud here that houses the fans. You can see that sits underneath the machine and gets attached with the bolts, the original bolts for the fans, through these holes on these tabs here. It's the blower fan on this side right here, so that sits underneath. But basically what this is a shroud, is a air distribution shroud that has these slots here, front, back, left and right, that cools the parts a lot better than the original one. So that's another upgrade that I've done to this machine. And I've added lights underneath these areas right here. Just two small strips of 3 LEDs that I cut out, from those the LED rolls that come in, the LED strips that come in a roll. So the 3 LEDs make up for the 12 volt distribution. So I've wired those in parallel, and I connected those to the existing PC board that's on these machines that distribute power to the fans and also to the hot end. There's another. There are provisions on that circuit board that you can connect directly, plus and minus 12 volts, to LEDs, and that's how I have it rigged here. In addition to, you can see my cable system here that runs on this chain-like system. I did that on the table, as well as on this side right here. On this end right here, I decided to use these clips here and not use the cable system, just not to complicate things, because these cables can get a little complex in the assembly. And so I decided to just keep this type of cable management just on these areas right here. So right here, because of obvious logical reasons, because you have this Teflon tube that runs along with this cable system, I decided just to keep it as a loop there. It's not that unsightly, and it just keeps that loop, in place, so to speak. The other upgrade that I've done is to this machine is I decided to do these spool holders. The spool holder has these caps here that run on ball bearings, skateboard ball bearings, and I did two sizes, to allow me to use different spools, because depending where you buy the spools, and depending on the manufacturer, some of them have a small inside diameter on the spool, and some have larger outside diameter. So that's what these spools are. This just needs the ball bearings here. Then there's another cap on the outside. On the other side, it fits over this. So this bolt right here. That arm right there is basically that bracket right there that sits underneath the leg of that corner leg of the machine, and because of this geometry here, it encapsulates and it butts up against the corner of the machine, so it's nice and firm. So that's my spool holder. It allows the spool to run nice and smooth. Comes in through here. This is actually the filament sensor, filament out sensor, that I decided to just go and connect this directly more permanent in line with the existing entry of the filament here to the feeder, filament feeder. So this the filament comes in through here, goes in, up, and so on and so forth. You know, I never liked the floating this floating sensor. It used to be on a ball with a magnet. It used to float there. I don't know why they did that. It's a lot better just to keep this nice and rigid in line with the with the filament entry. And so that's another upgrade that I've done to this machine. I cleaned up the inside really well before I started doing these upgrades, and I'm going to be doing these upgrades to a few other machines that I have. Basically the same thing. I have about 5 of these machines. One is in a box still that I decided to buy for parts if I need it. You know, throughout the years, I knew that at some point these machines would not be around, and I really like the Anycubic I3 Megas for all the reasons that I've explained in my videos. In particularly this display right here. I love this display. I love how it sits right there. It's clean. It's out of the way. It's not this silly display on the side that protrudes. It's an aesthetical eyesore in my opinion, and it just keeps everything housed inside the base. This is a steel base, by the way, as I discovered while drilling the pockets for this voltmeter and these LEDs right here. So these are the upgrades. I just wanted to capture this on video here. It's sort of something new, and if you have one of these machines, I would highly recommend that you invest the time in getting the machine. If you still want to keep it, I mean, it's up to the viewer or user, whoever has these machines that may stumble on my videos. Is that you know, this machine is solid. When you dial this machine just right, and that's not even difficult, because all you have to do is, you know, just make sure the table is level. Leveling is not that big of a deal. You know, I don't care for automatic leveling and all these things. It's not required. You know, it only takes a few minutes, you know, to level the machine, and it's a lot. To me, it's really easy. You know, you turn off the machine. Motor off. And right now I'm running the machine dry just for the sake of this video here. But you know, you home in on the machine. Motor off, and then you can simply just take a piece of paper and get it as close as possible to the 4 corners here, to these four ends, and in the center. The center typically is a little bit not that precise in these machines, because it you know, these glasses and surfaces are not totally flat. But that's not an issue, provided you align those corners. And sometimes I do this kind of visually as the part is printing, you know, and make adjustments via these knobs here. The other upgrade I forgot to mention that I did is I went with these type of springs. These are a little more beefier than the original, just the original natural metal springs that come with these machines. And I've done these 2 element machines, and I really love the grip, the tension that these springs provide, because they're beefier than the other ones. But basically, you know, as far as dialing in the machine, that's all you need to do is just make sure that that this is level, you know, with the machine. Make sure that before you print, you either clean the surface with alcohol, I've been using glue sticks since of last year. I started using glue sticks, just the Elmer's glue stick, the invisible ones. They come in a purple. It's got a purple color to them, and so they do leave a residue here that you have to clean with water. And just use water here. And just what I do is when I start new parts, I clean that really well. Well, it depends, because if I'm running several parts of the same thing, I just keep using the glue stick, and once it starts building up to a point where it starts getting it starts showing up on the more on the actual part than anything, I basically just wipe that residue clean with water and the scraper, and then start clean. I also use alcohol here, denatured alcohol, to clean the surfaces. If I don't want to use glue stick, and the parts attach just fine here if you're printing a PLA. PETG is a little bit trickier. ABS, of course, is a lot more trickier, and any material that's hard to print it's going to require an enclosed system. I have printed on this particular machine enclosed with a cover on top, ABS, just fine. But the problem with when you do that is that you heat up not only the not only the part, but you're heating up the machines, and I just don't see any logic in. I see these structures, that are sold, and the people have built, for these machines. They enclose them in cabinets, and when you heat up that cabinet, it's not only going to heat up the part, but it's also going to heat up all the other stuff that you should not be heating up. So to me, if you're going to print ABS, it's much better to do a flexible shroud that only covers the area that you're printing, and not the whole machine. That's one way to do that. The way I have printed ABS parts is I pick a nice warm day here in Arizona. Most of the time it's in the summertime, especially. It gets really, really hot, but around this time of the year, beginning of the year, January through April, the weather is warm enough that you can print ABS. You take the machine outside and just let it print in that atmosphere. You're going to get a nice print without having to cover the machine, just because the temperature outside is already warm. And so this one, it also keeps the fumes on the outside and not inside, if you were to print this in an enclosed area. So which I don't recommend you print those materials in an enclosed area unless you have fume extractors. I have a huge fume extractor here in my office that sucks up the air here quite a bit. In fact, when I turn that on, my door starts shutting off or shutting closed, because it draws even the doors. It's that powerful. So I turn that on when I'm printing materials that are a little more nasty to print. The ABS, PETG, nylon, stuff like that. So, but anyway, those are the upgrades that I've done to this machine. And like I said, if you plan on keeping this machine, which I highly recommend you do, because they don't make machines like this anymore. It's just like like the cars from back in the year. Modern cars are really flimsy. They have all the bells and whistles. They have all the electronic, all the glitter, and but in terms of structural rigidity, in my opinion, this machine is an excellent machine. And I really don't like those displays on the side, for the reasons I've explained in so many videos, and why I prefer a system like that. It just makes sense, from a logical standpoint, to have a display on the base of the machine. The base acting as the main focus, to build the machine from up from that solid base. It just makes for a much better machine. That's one of the reasons why I bought these machines after doing quite a bit of research at the time that I bought these machines. When they first came out, I think the Creality CR10 was very popular, and I just didn't like that architecture. I was looking at it and I go, that looks a little flimsy. And then when this machine came out, it was a no-brainer. There were other machines that came out with other names. I think all these are the the food department store was selling a similar machine to this one right here, and but I think it faded. But this, to me, the Anycubic has been a great machine. I can attest to that because I've been using these machines since they came out, for all the stuff that I've been doing related to all the products that I've been selling, at my Microflight. Another reason why I bought Two Trees, another company, has started doing the same thing with their Bluer Plus and their Sapphire, the Sapphire Core XY. And I have both of those machines as well, because of the same reasons, because they have the display on the base, and those machines have everything enclosed in the base, nice and clean. And I'm not going to depart with these machines either, because it would be kind of silly to go with these open frame, really flimsy architectures that are most of these companies are making these machines the way that they're making them. So there's no comparison, with the Anycubic I3 Mega, and I don't care what anybody says, whether this machine is a hobby or entry level. This machine is not an entry level machine. This machine is quite a capable machine. I've seen videos of people saying, that they have no idea from a working perspective. I don't think they've even done, their own design parts, and yet they judge this machine as an entry level machine, hobby machine that's not capable of doing this stuff. I am proof of that, because I've been making thousands of parts on these machines, and I've shown that in many of my videos. This machine is quite capable. You have this particular machine, the i3 Mega, the first ones that came out. Later on, I think they started changing things, and the product started kind of going down from that point in my view, because Anycubic has kind of embarked on the same architecture mentality as everybody else. Well, when you start doing that, you become a cookie cutter. Everything becomes, it's not that unique. And I'm saying that because the stuff that I've been doing here, one of the reasons I established my Microflight was to be unique and to do things that other companies were not doing. They were not thinking the way I was thinking. But if you see all my products, my products have that spark, that level of uniqueness, and that's why many people have been buying my stuff to this day. And sometimes it takes thinking outside the box, and you don't want to be I mean, what's the point of embarking on making things cookie cutter just like everyone else? It's number one, it's boring. Number two, there's no ingenuity. There's no intent. If there's no intent there, what does that tell you about the individual and the company? If there's no intent there, that means that they're not trying. They're not trying to innovate. They're not trying to give you a unique, different, better product. Three words that I use in my website are performance, durability, and realism. And I abide by those characteristics and rules that I establish at my Microflight by with every single one of my products. And unfortunately, Anycubic, deviated from this. It's unfortunately, because I really think that they should have just kept this machine, kept the architecture here, kept the panels inside. Be unique, be different than everybody and their mother. So I can't. It bothers me. It bothers me so much. When I see people, companies and just systems, organizations that tend to fold. And they tend to do, just because of profits. Everything is about profits, in the world. Everything is profits. But and a lot of companies put more emphasis on the profits than on the actual image of the company. I mean, you see that happening in today in age with one particular product that's out there. I'm not going to mention who it is and what that product is, but if you have been watching the news, you know what I'm talking about. And it's because when you start deviating, from an honest point of view, an honest intent in providing people what, good stuff, you start taking away that from people. At some point, the same audience is going to come back and realize that. Once they realize that, there's no turning back. You're basically done. I've been around. I'm a very, very small company, MIM Microflight. I've been around for a long time. I started doing these things with the intent of making my own products back in the late 70s, early 80s. This is when I was in high school. I was dreaming of doing my own products, because the stuff that was out there related to the hobby, the stuff that I've been producing here, it was not cutting it for me. I wanted a lot of things, and they were not being produced, or they were not being produced in the way that I thought they should have been produced. Ultralights, microlights, no way. There were none of this stuff was available. If you look at my products, and compare that to anything that has come out, you'll see what I'm talking about. So when you're with that mentality, and you approach things with an honest intent in producing something unique, and something that that the customer is going to get in their hands, and it's going to appreciate. Not many people appreciate it too, because you have people that just don't care about those things, and people that can't reason from a logical standpoint. Unfortunately, there's also a group of people that that fall into that category. But for the most part, I have a saying that in this world, one third of the population uh, tends to go with tends to think much less than two-thirds of the population. Two-thirds of the population have a little more power in that respect, in many areas. So from that point of view, you can say that in terms of let me deviate here, and let me just go with evil versus good, for example. That's why good always prevails, because two-thirds of the population are decent people, that think, educated people that are able to reason. They're able to critically think and be able to make an educated decision. But unfortunately, one-third of that population are just people that, unfortunately, for whatever reasons, I don't want to put people down, but unfortunately, that's the nature of our world. Are just not people that don't have that same fortune, and so we have, and so that's why we have so many differences, and so many so many things that could be a lot better in this world. So I guess the message is, when you're honest, and you put honest intent into a product, and you remain with that. Don't change. There's no need to change something that's already good. The changes that I made to this machine is not because the machine is bad. It's just to give me a little additional visual indications. These things are more cosmetic. Those parts right there. That's more functional. The cable system is more functional to prevent the wires from fraying. But there's nothing wrong with the machine. Internally wise, the machine is fine. The boards, I still use the Gorilla boards on these machines. That I never changed the software. There's no need to do that. I mean, so many people, it's like, I got to go with Marlin software. It's much better. Don't change something that does not need to be changed. Don't fix something that's not broken. If it's broken, fix it. And even that, fix it with the same parts. Don't deviate if you can. In my opinion, this Anycubic, it just after even trying to get fans for this machine, these fans are here from this company that doesn't work. They may as well be fans for little ants. I'm talking about the insect. Because they don't put out the power. This machine was originally, I think the people that designed originally this machine had a lot of drive, and a lot of spirit into this machine, and the way they did it here, the way they were able to manage a machine like that for the cost that this machine was going at. I purchased these machines at the beginning for about, I think they were going for $450, and then in later years they dropped to I think the last time I saw that machine was a few years back for $250 via eBay. But there's just no way, in my opinion, that I'm just that type of personality that I'm not going to get rid of a Studebaker for a for a Tesla. I do love electric everything. You know, I'm big on electric stuff. You know, I do a lot of electric cars myself. You know, just fun go karts. You know, I don't build big cars, but you know, you just can't compare it. You know, apples with oranges. So from that perspective, you know, I decided to keep these machines. I'm not going to depart with these machines unless I'm at a point where I'm no longer making use of these machines, and at that point I will sell them. Mario once again with ANYCYUBIC.